What up, what up, what up, what up? Jordan Sheridan, live for you on the YouTube, or as I more accurately call it, FewTube. FewTube. Let me know, do you like the little thing we're doing now? We're giving you a little 10-minute countdown before we go live. Ty came up with that. And some people said it sounds like porno music. I don't know about that. I don't want to comment on pornographic content, but you'd be surprised because there's very little music on the internet that you can use for free. So I think we're looking for music we could use for free. But I like the fact that, you know, the problem is, thank you, Michael, $10, 10 euros, excuse me. Thanks for getting this party started on the Super Chat. You know, a frustrating thing with YouTube or FewTube is it takes so long for them to notify subscribers when channels and hosts that they subscribe to are live. So a lot of times I was going live and basically just killing time before I started a topic because it would take quite a bit of time for people to come in and come to the live stream. So Ty had the good idea. I know a lot of other shows do it, of having a 10-minute countdown. So we'll be doing that for sure going forward. And, you know, maybe we'll switch up the music, you know, depending on what we can and cannot use. Squirrel Lips, $1.99 in the Super Chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep it coming, guys. We are very, 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 very excited. We are, you know, growing in this GoFundMe. Let me show you that. If my screen was working, hold on. I walk slow, take my hand. So We are at $21,445 by 345 people. Obviously, the money is the top issue there, but I'm excited that we're growing in the number of people who have contributed. So we're at 345 people. I mean, obviously, we're doing Sunday marathons. I'm going to be doing that for the foreseeable future to kick up this fundraising, but we also want to fundraise as much as we can day to day. So thank you to everyone who's contributed. Jen is doing a live stream today, and she's in the live stream, and she is definitely making a lot of trips to the post office to mail out the shirts, the hats, everything that we are giving away as well. We're not giving, yeah, we are giving it away as part of your contributions. So we're already mailing out Status Quo shirts and hats for those who have contributed. $100, you get a shirt or a hat. $127 gets you both. We'll also be putting out those swag bags, that white little swag bag at $200, and the backpack at $250. And the swag bag, the backpack, you'll get signed goodies in there. So keep it coming, guys. You know, I'm trying my best not to be an annoying person groveling, but you know, if you're launching a startup and you're unwilling to grovel at the feet of corporate plutocrats and the oligarchy, I'd rather grovel at your feet, the people. Thank you, Desi Mergy, $5. You and Ty can sing together and play as countdown music. Jen yelling "Stop it" in the background. That's actually probably wouldn't be too hard to find, because I think Jen, Ty, and I were on the road together twice already, and Jen probably has told us to stop it when we're talking too loud or playing music. Or Ty likes to, while in the room with other people, talk on the phone really loudly, like nobody's there. He likes to listen to music really loudly because Ty lives in his own world and nobody else is there. So, and as a reminder, we're coming up with a title. We're coming up with a title for his show, but Ty will be live tomorrow at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Eastern Time. 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Ty will be live. So put it in your calendar. If you watch the Sunday marathon, our Sunday marathon that we did, boy, did he bring it, baby. Boy, did he bring it. This past Sunday, we raised about $1,000, and I was live for 6 hours. This coming Sunday, post-Thanksgiving, I think I'm going to go longer than 6 hours this Sunday. So put it in your calendar. I think I'm going to go longer. I don't know how long. My longest so far with these marathons are 7.5 hours. You gave me strength that first Sunday. We raised almost $5,000 that day. So when I went live for 6 hours, we only raised $1,000. So to raise more, hey, if I got to go live for 12 hours, so be it. If I got to break my back, so be it. So this Sunday, I don't know exactly how long we're going, but I'm going to be going live for a fairly long time. So that's what's going on. And as always, Super Chat, GoFundMe. I also put in the description, just, you know, we haven't really pushed it in a while, but we also have a monthly Patreon. So if you'd like to become a patron, you could do that at patreon.com/statusquo. You could listen to Ty and my first, Ty and I's first full podcast is up at patreon.com/statusquo, and you'll I have my behind the scenes video diaries. I'm going to play a part of my video diary today, so you get a little flavor. If you're not a Patreon subscriber, you could subscribe as low as $3 per month at patreon.com/statusquo. So let's get to it. I hate to do this because we build our brand here by covering a lot of things other than Trump, but I have to start with Trump tonight because maybe I'm a little biased because I'm a journalist, but, you know, I don't cover Trump because every day is a spectacle. Every day is a new low. And if I was going to cover Trump and every new low, I'd be covering it, you know, breakfast, noon, and breakfast, lunch, and dinner like everybody else. But I think this does merit coverage. So, obviously, Jamal Khashoggi, he was a journalist. He was in Saudi Arabia. He was well known there. He was brutally murdered in the embassy in Turkey, I believe it was. So he was murdered in the Saudi Arabian embassy in Turkey. And he was there essentially, I believe that he was, I guess he was getting remarried to somebody else. So he had to get his divorce finalized. I think that's what happened. So He went in there just thinking this was a paperwork kind of thing, and then he was brutally executed. And from all reports, his body dismembered, and it was a coordinated. There's a lot of evidence that it was a coordinated and came from Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Mohammed bin Salman basically ordered the execution of a journalist. So this is what happens in fascist dictatorial countries. And President Trump, from the beginning, Sway says dismembered alive. From the beginning, Trump has kind of played dumb. You know, he's always down with a good conspiracy theory, but not exactly when there's evidence for something, not really down for that. So he kind of played dumb, kind of said, well, you know, we're still looking at the evidence, even though Turkey has the audio and already has shown the United States the evidence. So we'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see, you know, this is a tough world. And really, it became quite evident. It became quite evident that, and press the share button. Let's get this out. Press the share button on Facebook, because we're on Status Quo's Facebook page, not my Facebook page. So we don't have a ton of likes yet on Status Quo's Facebook page. So if you haven't liked Facebook, if you haven't liked Status Quo's Facebook page, go do that. Facebook.com/Status Quo. Even though Facebook's a bunch of criminals, which I'm going to talk about this coming Sunday. So, hello to my Facebook peeps watching, all 6 of you. And press the share button here. So, it kind of became evident that, honestly, even if there was video of it that was shown to Trump, even if there was video of Mohammed bin Salman, like, sitting up with his feet up at the desk, laughing while this execution and dismemberment happened live, that Trump was basically going to say, oh, you know, the world's a tough place. There's some brutal people. So this was Trump's, statement. First, the headline, America First, exclamation point. The world is a very dangerous place. The country of Iran, as an example, is responsible for a bloody proxy war against Saudi Arabia in Yemen. That's not exactly true. Trying to destabilize Iraq's fragile attempt at democracy, supporting the terror group Hezbollah in Lebanon, propping up dictator Bashar al-Assad in Syria, who has killed millions of his citizens, and much more. Obviously, let's just say it from the start, Trump didn't write this statement. It's mostly propaganda, but it's well-coherent propaganda. And we all know that Trump doesn't know how to read or write. So Trump didn't write this statement. He's just reading whatever the hell was written for him by some neocons. So, back to the statement. On the other hand, Saudi Arabia would gladly withdraw from Yemen if the Iranians would agree to leave. They would immediately provide desperately needed humanitarian assistance. Additionally, Saudi Arabia has agreed to spend billions of dollars in leading the fight against radical Islamic terrorism. So, right here in this statement, this is literally, he's giving a statement. He's giving a statement about the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, a journalist, not an American citizen, but I think Jen put it in the chat. He was like not a full-time U.S. citizen, but had residency here. So Trump's talking, his response to the brutal murder of a journalist in Saudi Arabia is talking about Iraq, why Iran is causing the mass genocide in Yemen. He's really not getting to Jamal Khashoggi yet, I would think. After my heavily negotiated trip to Saudi Arabia last year, the kingdom agreed to spend and invest $450 billion in the United States. This is a record amount of money. It will create hundreds of thousands of jobs, tremendous economic development, and much additional wealth for the United States. Well, wealth for oligarchs and donors, not wealth for you, the working people of America. Of the $450 billion, $110 billion will be spent on the purchase of military equipment from Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and many other great U.S. defense contractors. If we fully cancel these contracts, Russia and China would be the enormous beneficiaries and very happy to acquire all of this newfound business. It would be a wonderful gift to them directly from the United States. So I have to say, even though what he's saying is so vile, even though what he's saying is just so disgusting when you're talking about the murder and dismemberment of a journalist, of a basically a dictator in Saudi Arabia murdering away the dissent. This is the president of the United States. We have a freedom of the press in this country. So even though it's so disgusting what he's saying, I got to give him credit on one thing. Have you ever heard a president so openly admit the truth of this country, which is we're at endless war, not because we're under threat, but because we basically are indentured to Raytheon, Boeing, Northam Grunthorpe, General Electric. At least he's admitting it out in the open, like he's dropping the veil. He's dropping the curtain. He's letting everybody know, hey, if they want to murder some journalists, we'd rather than not, but we got to feed our donors here. We got to feed Raytheon. We got to feed Boeing. There's a reason, Raytheon and Boeing put out such kind statements about John McCain when he died. Khashoggi, he was a resident and he was employed here and lived here. He was in the process of applying for citizenship. Correct. Thanks, Jen. So he was a U.S. resident. He was applying for citizenship. And he was a journalist. So a president of the United States, who calls journalists the enemy of the people, blah, 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 blah. The first response to a journalist with U.S. residency being assassinated and dismembered shouldn't be, hey, well, we're getting $450 billion from Boeing, this is going to create jobs at Boeing and Raytheon, and, that's a whole nother story. Paul says, don't forget Blackwater stole millions during that war. Yep. And if you've never watched on Netflix, if you have downtime this Thanksgiving, if you've never watched on Netflix, Jeremy Scahill's incredible documentary, Dirty Wars, or Dirty War, I think it's Dirty Wars. You got to watch that. You got to watch Jeremy Scahill of The Intercept's brilliant documentary. It's called Dirty Wars on Netflix, which is all about the secret United States paramilitary that goes into these countries. So, it's, on one hand, it's so vile and disgusting what he's saying and how he's responding to this. On the other hand, I'm almost blessing in disguise that at least finally a U.S. president is putting it out in the open. Yeah. We don't send troops because of the threat. Donald Trump, we don't send troops to go and die. We don't basically bomb and drone. We don't go bomb and drone the Middle East and kill all these people because we're at immediate risk or threat to ourselves. We do it because we have to continue serving Raytheon and Boeing. I mean, that is the military-industrial complex. That's the truth. So, at least he's admitting it. Credit to him there. But now back to the pretty much disgusting statement. So he says, if we foolishly cancel these contracts, Russia and China would be the enormous beneficiaries and very happy to acquire all of this newfound business. It would be a wonderful gift to them directly from the United States. The crime against Jamal Khashoggi. So he gets into it, I believe, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so he gets into it 4 paragraphs down. Very, very nice. The crime against Jamal Khashoggi was a terrible one, one that our country does not condone. Indeed, we have taken strong action against those already known to have participated in the murder. After great independent research, we now know many details of this horrible crime. We have already sanctioned 17 Saudis known to have been involved in the murder of Mr. Khashoggi and the disposal of his body. Representatives of Saudi Arabia say that Jamal Khashoggi was a, quote, enemy of the state. Oh, my God. And a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. All right, so now he's getting into the Breitbart.com part of the speech, where he's just pushing total conspiracy bullshit nonsense. This is the President of the United States, basically condoning the murder of a journalist by concocting a myth that he was part of the Muslim Brotherhood. But my decision is no way based on that. So I'm not saying you beat your wife. But I've heard he beats his wife. I've heard from a few people he beats his wife. I mean, Jesus Christ. And like I said, when I began this topic, you know, I don't cover Trump every day because it's a new low every day. But this is really like, just when you think there's a basement, just when you think you're on the floor, there's like an underground tunnel with this disgusting man. So basically, his decision has nothing. He doesn't want. He can't comment on whether he's a member of the Muslim Brotherhood or an enemy of the state. That has nothing to do with my decision not to take action against Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman. He says he might have been an enemy of the state. He might have been a member of the Muslim Brotherhood, but that doesn't change the fact that this is an unacceptable crime. King Salman and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman was vigorously deny any knowledge of the planning or execution of the murder of Mr. Khashoggi. Oh yeah, you know, I'm sure they're just going to toss up their hands and be like, "You got me. You got me. Take me to the INF." Our intelligence agencies continue to assess all information, but it could be very well that the Crown Prince had knowledge of this tragic event. Maybe he did, and maybe he didn't. Oh my God. By the way, he put out this statement before he got the full CIA report. He put out this statement before he got the full CIA report. And I think the CIA, I'm the first one to say, don't automatically believe the CIA. Don't automatically believe the FBI. But you're making a statement about what you know before you even have your intelligence agency's full report on what the intelligence has found. So obviously, you seem to have a vested interest in kind of framing this as nothing, not a big deal. And Trump knows what he's doing because he knows the media is going to, you know, throw a hissy fit for 2 days and then move on. This is how Trump plays the media, because he knows the media is not really in it for journalism. They're in it for profits and ratings and controversy, and they get bored after a day or two. That's why we're already not talking about another mass shooting in Chicago yesterday. It literally was covered for 3 hours and then out of the news at Mercy Hospital. That being said, we may never know all of the facts surrounding the murder of Mr. Jamal Khashoggi. In any case, our relationship is with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So essentially what he's saying there is, you know, sometimes there's collateral damage in the United States of oil. They have been a great ally in our very important fight against Iran. The United States intends to remain a steadfast partner of Saudi Arabia to ensure the interests of our country, Israel, and all the other partners in the region. It is our paramount goal to fully eliminate the threat of terrorism throughout the world. I understand there are members of Congress who, for political or other reasons, would like to go in a different direction, and they are free to do so. I will consider whatever ideas are presented to me, but only if they are consistent with the absolute security and safety of America. So, to hell with freedom of the press or journalists being executed and dismembered. When he says security of and safety of America, what that means, folks, is the security and safety of the oil industry. If the United States, Saudi Arabia is the largest oil-producing nation in the world. They have worked closely with us and have been very responsive to my request to keeping oil prices at reasonable levels. So important for the world. As President of the United States, I intend to ensure that blah, 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 blah. And here you have him. I mean, it really is the rantings of a Fox News host. Here we go.
We put out a statement on Saudi Arabia, which I guess most of you have seen, and we'll see how that all works out. It's a very complex situation. It's a shame, but it is what it is. Because it's America first to me. It's all about America first. We're not going to give up hundreds of billions of dollars in orders and let Russia, China, and everybody else have them. It's all about, for me, very simple. It's America first. Saudi Arabia, if we broke with them, I think your oil prices would go through the roof. I've kept them down. They've helped me keep them down. Right now we have... I think your oil prices would go through
Hold on.
the roof. I've kept them down. They've helped me keep them down. Right now we have... I think your oil prices would go through the roof. Low oil prices, or relatively, I'd like to see it go down even lower, but I think that It's a very simple equation for me. I'm about make America great again, and I'm about America first.
Are you basically telling us, Mr. President, that human rights are too expensive?
That what?
That human rights are too expensive?
No, I'm not saying that at all. If you look at Iran, just take a look at Iran, and you look at what they're doing. They are a terrorist nation right now. Although I must tell you, they're a lot better right now than they were when I took office. When I took office, they were heading in a very, very bad direction. And at some point, things very positive, frankly, could happen with Iran, but we also need a counterbalance. And Israel needs help also. If we abandon Saudi Arabia, it would be a terrible mistake.
Allah is saying that they are not going to let that Hariri, a Polish government, maybe it's a reply for the sanctions placed on them.
I really can't understand what you're saying. Sorry.
The Washington Post, in a statement, put out a statement. They said that you're putting your personal interests, your commercial interests.
Well, I have nothing to do with Saudi. Just so you understand, I don't make deals with Saudi Arabia. I don't have money from Saudi Arabia. I have nothing to do with Saudi Arabia. I couldn't care less. And I will tell you, and as most of you know, being president has cost me a fortune, and that's okay with me. I knew that a long time ago. But being president has cost me a fortune, a tremendous fortune like you've never seen before. But someday I'll tell you what that is. And I knew that a long time ago because I don't do deals. All I do is focus on this country and making great deals for this country. I don't focus on making great deals for myself because I don't care anymore. So Saudi Arabia has nothing to do with me. What does have to do with me is putting America first. Wait. They're buying hundreds of billions of dollars worth of things from this country. If I say we don't want to take your business, if I say we're going to cut it off, they will get the equipment, military equipment and other things from Russia and China. Russia and China would be very, very happy because right now we're doing very well against China. We're doing very well against everybody, including Russia, and I'm going to keep it that way. And I'm not going to tell a country that's spending hundreds of billions of dollars and has helped me do one thing very importantly, keep oil prices down so that they're not going to $100 and $150 a barrel. Right now, we have oil prices in great shape. I'm not going to destroy the world economy, and I'm not going to destroy the economy for our country by being foolish with Saudi Arabia. So I think the statement, wait a minute, I think the statement was...
So essentially, President Trump said, my thoughts and prayers are with the Khashoggi family. He didn't even say that, actually. But essentially he's saying, it's a tough break, that journalist there. What's the price of oil today? I mean, there's so many ramifications for this, starting with the fact that he has basically, by that response, has basically greenlit dictators, authoritarians, fascists, the new elected president in Brazil, to basically assassinate journalists with no fear at all of repercussions from the United States as long as those countries stay good to us as far as business. Thank you, Desi Murgy, $10. Look into and comment sometime about the last round of cuts in U.S. strategic petroleum reserves. It is unusual behavior, similar to media's sudden interest in Yemen war and Saudi condemnation. Jen, save that for me so I can look into it. And thank you to Dirty Chivo, $5 in the super chat. You are killing it, Jordan. Can't wait to see this thing grow and expand. Hey, Jen and I are breaking our backs behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, behind on camera, to grow this thing. So thank you for contributing. And as a reminder, folks, this is a super chat, but we're also trying to raise this GoFundMe. So even if it's $5, $10 at a time, it's so important to get those numbers up, not just the number, but the amount. So we have 345 people have contributed so far. Let's see if we can get that number past 350 today. Let's see if we can get that number closer to 400 by the end of November. That's our goal. End of November, we're trying to get to 25,000, and the number of people who have contributed to, between 400 and 500. So it's definitely an ambitious goal, but I believe in the viewers, and I believe in how badly people want this journalism. And I'm going to play a video from Jen in a little bit that talks about a little bit more why we're doing what we're doing and what we're trying to raise money for. So what Trump said was vile. What Trump said is disgusting. I think a lot of these journalists, and I put journalist in air quotes, are terrible. To me, I don't consider Jim Acosta like a bastion of what journalism should be. I don't consider Anderson Cooper or Morning Joe like journalists, right? However, I think they're bad at their job. I think they are stenographers and regurgitate what the government tells them. I think they're basically there to enforce and embolden the status quo. And I don't think these journalists are there to give the microphone to the people. That's what status quo is for. It's not a slogan. It's what we believe. We are here to give the microphone back to the people, which I was going to talk to Jen today, but I want to start doing interviews with viewers, where I could just interview viewers and play that during our live streams. Because, hey, you guys all have stories what's going on in your community. You all have stories. You could inform me of what's going on. You could inform others of what's going on. So we want to start that. Jen's going to go crazy because it's another thing I want to add. She's already got a list of 200 things that on her plate. So, but the bottom line is Donald Trump literally is just basically giving license to fascist dictators around the world to just murder critics, to murder critics as a profession, because journalists, if they're good, are supposed to be the fiercest critics of power and hold power to account. And by the way, I don't think CNN and MSNBC and the New York Times and the Washington Post and the Associated Press and all these places are exercising real good journalism. I think they're exercising sensationalism. I think they're exercising, news for the sake of clicks and controversy and scandal. But I think they are entitled to safety. I think the violence, the confrontation should be a healthy one between journalists and the people they cover or expose, where if you do the wrong thing as a powerful official, you're opening yourself up to be exposed. But, Jim Acosta shouldn't be threatened. Morning Joe shouldn't be threatened. You shouldn't, if you're a journalist and, the government of your country where you cover things and you're critical on them, you shouldn't have to be afraid that if you walk into the bank or you walk in, to the bathroom, you're going to get dismembered. Trump is basically giving license also for countries to surveil journalists with that statement. It is extreme. I mean, beyond being insulting to Jamal Khashoggi's memory, his family, it is very, very dangerous to journalists in this country and around the world. And just to wrap a bow on it, he's also not telling the truth about his relationship with Saudi Arabia, because he does have financial ties. This is from PolitiFact. We found no evidence that Trump or the Trump Organization owns property or invests in Saudi Arabia. However, Trump has profited from business dealings with Saudis dating back at least to the 1990s, and his hotels continue to generate revenue from Saudi interests, including his new hotel in Washington, D.C., which opened when he took the oath of office. He has had a lot of visitors and business from Saudi Arabia. One of the things he's benefited, the 45th floor of the Trump World Tower. In June 2001, Trump sold the entire 45th floor of the Trump World Tower to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The apartment, located near the United Nations headquarters, were later converted in 2008 into parts of the Saudi mission to the UN. The transaction earned Trump $4.5 million, according to the New York Daily News, citing a New York City Finance Department spokesperson. The Daily News obtained documents showing the deal involved 5 apartments, which included 10 bedrooms and 13 bathrooms. In addition to the purchase price, the annual charge of more than $85,000 for building amenities, assuming they remained the same through the years, means Trump was paid at least $5.7 million by the Saudi government since 2001. Then there's a yacht named Princess. Reports show that Trump has profited from deals with the Saudis since at least the early 1990s. According to the Associated Press, Trump was, quote, teetering on personal bankruptcy and scrambling to raise cash in 1991 when Saudi billionaire Prince Al-Walid bin Talal agreed to buy Trump's yacht. The 280-foot yacht named Princess sold for $20 million, which according to the Associated Press was a third less than Trump is reported to have paid for it. Saudi visitors to Trump hotels, even as president, Trump hotels continue to earn business from Saudi interests. Groups lobbying on behalf of the Saudi government spent $270,000 at Trump's Washington hotel, according to a Washington Post investigation. The bill included some $190,000 for rooms, $78,000 for catering, and $1,600 for parking. Quote, the bill was ultimately paid by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Yet, Trump says, I have nothing to do with Saudi Arabia. I didn't make any money off of Saudi Arabia. There's no gambling in this establishment. You can't make it up. So, you know, it's very dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. And, you know, I think that as a journalist, you know, we cover different things here at Status Coup. I go out, I cover Flint, the Standing Rocks of the world, pipeline resistance fights, local and state corruption, the murder of African-American men by police. But at the end of the day, we ruffle a lot of feathers here. I ruffle a lot of feathers. Anyone who joins us is going to be ruffling feathers because we're not in this to play patty cake. We're not in this to make friends among the powerful. So I think I showed that, you know, see my interview with Donna Brazil and some other things I've done in my career. So you do that knowing that you're taking some kind of risk. But it's a whole new ballgame when, if as journalists, just by doing your job and investigating power, essentially the leader of the free world just said, well, it's okay to kill those people then. That's what he's saying. It's extremely dangerous. It's extremely dangerous to me, not just for present-day journalism, for the future of journalism. Because, you know, Bernie, for example, called on, you know, after the 2016 election, called on thousands and thousands of people to run for office. And obviously we've seen that happen. But I think it's crucially important for more people to get involved with journalism. I mean, I've been talking to Jen that I might not involved with Status Quo at all, but I might get into, you know, a side type of thing, trying to train and mentor people to become journalists, because I think it's so important. I think it's so important that we have more microscopes and more fire lit under the politicians and the corporations and the plutocrats and the oligarchies' assholes. And journalism does that. Real journalism, not the crap you see on CNN. So very, very dangerous. I mean, we'll see what the fallout is. I pretty much predict that they'll just, you know, the media will cover this for the next day or two, if that, and then they'll move on to something else ridiculous. So, hey, thank you for that. Remember, this is a super chat, so keep it coming in the super chat and the GoFundMe. And on that note, if you didn't see it on Sunday, I want to play a short video from our president, not Donald Trump, Jen Dyes, president of Status Quo, Jen Dyes, who just made this fantastic video. It looks like, you know, we got to work on the camera angle a little bit because she's kind of like looking down, but the video is great. And she almost tears up, which I thought was very cute. Thank you, Tyderp, $10 in the super chat. Is there a Jimmy Dore interview coming, or did I hallucinate that? There is a Jimmy Dore interview coming. I recorded it yesterday. I am at the mercy of whenever Jimmy and his channel publish it. So I don't know when it's going up. I hope this week. But yeah, I recorded it He had me on yesterday. We recorded it. It was very, very good. I enjoyed it. We talked after the interview for a while, which is always fun. So I can't thank Jimmy enough. Definitely, if you're not a subscriber to Jimmy Dore's channel, go check that out. He is, I think, leading the journalistic revolution as far as progressive media commentators. He is real. He is real. He is raw. He has righteous rage, and he don't give a fuck. And I think we need more of that. So yes, I recorded it yesterday, and hopefully it will be up this week. It will be up this week. So without further ado, before I get to the next topic, here's Jen talking about how far we've come for status quo in just a few months. And on the backside, after that interview, after that video, I have some words for Governor Andrew Cuomo. Ugh, Cuomo. Hillary Clinton with a penis. Here we go.
Hey guys, it's Jen. I just wanted to do a quick little video to kind of give you some background into why we're fundraising, what we do with the money that we are fundraising, and also to thank you and just to talk about how generous you guys have been. It's actually stunned me. Yesterday I was going through the GoFundMe donations and kind of cataloging things again and in a better way so I can start sending out swag. I'm so sorry for the delay on that, but it is all coming. We're waiting for more swag to come in because it does take a while for we order it from Vistaprint for now, but it does take a while for it to come in. So anyway, I was going through and we have over 300 people who've donated. I think at this point it's about 320 something. And I was going through each and every name. And I wrote Jordan about halfway through this process, and I said, I'm so humbled because these are people who believe in us. These are people who believe in our journalism and the stories we report on. These are people who care. They care enough to show up to these live streams, to watch the channel, to to sign up for our email list. But the monetary part, that's a whole other step. We know that a lot of you guys are struggling financially. We're there ourselves, and to varying degrees have been in worse and better positions, but right now it's a struggle. So we feel that deeply. We're not CNN where the anchors are getting paid millions of dollars to sit there and read from a teleprompter. We're normal people who have gone through a lot this year, and a lot of those things that we've gone through this year were not great. They weren't things that you aspired to go through. There, as a lot of you know, was a concerted effort to take this journalism down. So we're here, we're thriving, we're like the phoenix rising from the ashes, but we won't stop, and you guys see that, and that's where your donations they absolutely humble me, because you are seeing this journalism, you're donating, and it makes such a difference. To this point, we've raised over $20,000, which is stunning. I never thought we could do that in 2 months. When you start a fundraising campaign, there's a lot of nervousness that goes along with it. You're like, is anyone going to donate? Is everyone going to laugh at us and our mission? It's nerve-wracking, incredibly nerve-wracking. But you do it because you believe in your mission. You believe that there are good people out there like you guys. And so we launched it, and here we are 2 months later, we raised $20,000. And seeing each of your names there as I was going through the list, I just felt so peaceful, because it shows that we're going in the right direction. It shows that there are good people out there like you. We completely understand that not everyone is in a position to donate. Some of the amounts that you guys are donating, I could never do right now. I hope to be able to be in a different position in the future where I can donate to great projects like this, but right now there's no way I could donate some of those amounts. So it just means so much. And I know it's easy to look at that figure, the $20,000, and to say, oh, they've raised $20,000, they're fine, they have everything they need. And the reality is, the last trip we went on to Flint, for a variety of reasons, including things we can't quite get into yet, because the story is in the hands of, hopefully, in the hands of people who can do something about it, about the water being flushed in Flint and flushing the lead out, which is basically the state lying about the water being safe. So to give you some background on that story, if you haven't heard it, it's up on Medium right now. But that trip cost $5,000. We are extremely conservative with the money. I want to put that out up front. Like, we search for deals, we do everything we can to save money. Let me put my status quo hat on here. Hold on one second. But it's expensive. It's very expensive to fly 3 people out there, to get the added equipment that we needed for this particular trip. This is probably the most important trip, this past one, that that we've been on. And by important, I just mean that the people who the story's in the hands of now can actually do something about it. So it costs money. It costs money to get equipment. These are often one-time purchases, and we won't have to make those purchases again, like camera equipment, things like that. Each trip that we go on costs between $2,000 and $5,000, depending on the length of time and factors like that. But we go on these trips because no one else is, and because people are suffering. And if you've looked at our channel and the clips we post, you see the mothers crying on their porch because they have little babies with rash from the water, from the Flint water. Mothers who can't afford health care crying because they are told their only option is to divorce your husband so that you don't make too much money to qualify for health care. It's absolutely heartbreaking. It's absolutely disgusting what these people are put through, and our cameras are the only ones there. And you guys have put us there, and you guys are the ones who essentially made this breakthrough that we found in Flint happen. That was you guys, because otherwise, if it weren't for your support, we couldn't have done it. I just can't thank you enough for putting us on those porches, for putting us in those homes, for sending us on these stories, you know, reporting, Jordan and Ty reporting on police brutality, going to Chicago, going to Dallas. These stories matter, and other people's cameras are not there. Those $1 million earning, not just million, I think Rachel Maddow earns like $20 million a year, something crazy like that. But there are no other cameras there. And we're there, and we're there because of you. So that's why we're fundraising. That's why we have a goal of $50,000, because we have, you know, we need to put food in our mouths. We need to report on these stories. You know, we are so passionate, we will never stop. I always tell Jordan, like, no matter how bad the suppression gets on the internet, you know, suppressing our channels on YouTube and Twitter and blah, 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 I don't care if it comes down to us handing out pamphlets with these stories in alleyways. We will continue to report because these stories matter so much, because we are tenacious reporters who will never ever stop. And I know that that's why you guys put your faith and your dollars toward us, because you know that we are for real. You know that we are fearless, independent journalists who answer only to you, the people. So I wanted you to know that your money is going towards reporting. Your money is going towards very important things, very important stories, and it matters a lot. And we don't like to beg, we don't like to talk about money all the time, but the reality is the reality. We have to. So thank you so much for your support. We will continue to tell you what the money that you donate goes toward. I think it's important for us to be transparent and open, and we will never stop fighting for the truth. And you guys are a big, big part of that. And I can never thank you enough. I don't want to break down in tears, but I feel like I'm about to, because it means so much. And I definitely understand those who can't donate. I am not leaving you out at all. You guys sharing our content is the only way we're staying alive. We really, really appreciate it, and we appreciate all of you.
Warms my heart like apple pie, that one. You know? She's wonderful. And you know, Jen, she's not going to like me for saying this. You know, she's not going to like me. But Jen and I had a conversation yesterday because Jen's like, you know, you got me doing all the logistical, hard business work. I want to do some reporting. And I said to her, well, I've only asked you 45,000 fucking times to do some live streams, go on air and do this. But you know, what can I do? I can't make her go live. I can't make her report. You know, she's a little camera shy at first, which a lot of people are. But I think, you know, we're starting to sprinkle Ty into the channel more. And I think we're going to have Jen do some stuff on the channel more as far as reporting. I'm actually going to be on vacation December 1st. I don't know. I'm going to be on vacation December 1st, probably for like over a week, like a week and a half maybe. So we're going to have Jen on the channel and Ty on the channel and maybe some pre-recorded stuff for me. It would be great if you could live stream from Flint instead of a studio. Wouldn't that be great? We have done that, Tim Buck. Unfortunately, YouTube doesn't alert anyone when we're live, so you might have not seen it. That's why it's so important to join our email list. Go to statuscoup.com right now, statuscoup.com. Enter your email, because if you enter your email when we're on the road, we give alerts when we're going live on the road. And we try to give alerts when we're going live during the week, but we don't want to, you know, we don't want to go crazy, you know, sending 25 emails a week. But definitely when we're on the road, we definitely send emails out. You know, we're live in Flint or live in Dallas or wherever we are. So you know to tune in at a certain time for interviews that you definitely will not see in corporate media. But thank you to Jen. She's busting her hide down in Maryland and working very, very hard to get this thing off the ground. Thank you, $1.99. Alexandria capitulated as endorsing Nancy Pelosi. I'm going to get to that. I think that you know, our business model long term is not GoFundMe. Our business model long term is not. I mean, the super chat is part of it because it's a way to make money. Our business model is paid membership, so we're putting the final touches on the paid membership section of our website, where you can go and become a member of Status Coup. You know, if you're a Patreon subscriber now, you could stay a Patreon. We're not getting rid of that, obviously, but we're going to also have paid membership. That is the ultimate long-term business model, because we want to grow a business where we're not indebted to anyone but the viewer. So if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, which is giving the microphone back to the people, which is covering real issues on real struggle in real communities, on real corruption, on real injustice, on the local level, the state level, then people are going to budget us in. People are going to want and need that reporting. I firmly believe that based on what I have seen. So thank you. Thanks to Jen for making that. Again, if you got a couple bucks to the GoFundMe, go put that in now. We're four donors away from 350 donors. We're at 346. So thanks to everyone who's contributed. Now, time to get to Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York. The governor who I wasn't so pleased when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez endorsed him for governor either. Got to keep it real, Alexandria. I mean, he wasn't exactly in danger of losing to a Republican, so I'm not particularly sure why she felt the need to endorse a extremely corrupt, oligarchic, plutocrat asshole. But that's not what this is about. So obviously there has been a lot of anger here in New York, as well as in Northern Virginia, and frankly, the rest of the country. It's not just progressives either. I mean, for God's sakes, Tucker Carlson, that jerk-off on Fox News, was like, why should New York and Virginia have to subsidize the richest man in the world to come open up headquarters in their cities that if they didn't subsidize him, they'd still open it anyway. Like, why do we have to continue as a country taking money from us, the working people, and giving it to people like Jeff Bezos so he will grace us in these cities with his presence and Amazon's presence, which, you hear all this talk. It's going to create 25,000 jobs and bring so much money to the economy and so much jobs and so much wealth. Yeah, for who? For who? There's already reports in New York that people are already being forced to and being displaced in the location where Amazon is now, that they're going to have to move so that Amazon could open up this headquarters. So who is benefiting? Is it the poor people that live in Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's district in the Bronx and Queens? Is it the single mothers working 2 jobs, 3 jobs? Because as far as I can see, they're not opening up like Amazon, and with it comes a government job program for people who badly need it. They're not doing that. So Andrew Cuomo, who gave 1.5, I believe it was almost either 1.5 or 2 billion with a B dollars in tax breaks to Jeff Bezos and Amazon to come to New York City. And if there's one city that doesn't need Amazon, it's New York City. Which, by the way, New York State has the highest level of income inequality in the United Corporations of America. New York State, largest income gap in the country. So, Andrew Cuomo, in response to progressives, even frankly some conservatives, saying, why the fuck are taxpayers on the hook? Because it is taxpayers paying for it. It's not incentives. Who's paying for it? They're already hiking the prices on subway cards in New York City. They're already hiking the prices on bus tickets. And you start seeing little tax increases in your city tax or your state tax because the state government is losing the revenue that they're giving to Amazon. So this is a great article. I like Libby Watson. She writes for Splinter News. And she calls out Cuomo, who basically went after the socialists. It's the socialists that are mad about the Amazon deal. Andrew Cuomo is mad online after widespread criticism of New York's package of giveaways to bring Amazon's new headquarters to Queens, which will provide $2.8 billion in incentives, and I quote, to the giant corporation. The governor of New York had nothing better to do than to log on to Medium.com to defend the deal. It is so bad in so many ways. Let's dive in. Cuomo frames the opposition to the giveaway he helped engineer as coming from 2 camps, quote, extreme conservatives and the socialists. He doesn't actually cite any specific socialists, but we could assume he means people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. For extreme conservatives, he cites the New York Post, although he does not link to it. He spends paragraphs attacking their view that taxes should be lower for corporations across the board rather than just Amazon, which is indeed dumb. The Post has also attacked critics of the Amazon deal as hypocritical, which goes unmentioned. Last night, it broke the truly devastating story that Ocasio-Cortez has maintained an Amazon wish list. The hypocrisy. Quote, the socialists, meanwhile, are hopelessly naive, Cuomo wrote. On the other side of the extreme, the socialists argue that we gave a $1 billion grant to one of the richest men in the country and that we should have given that money to the poor and the needy. Once again, it is a politically appealing argument, but also it is once again wrong. We give Amazon nothing, and their revenue gives us approximately $900 million annually. If Amazon does not employ 25,000 New Yorkers, we lose $900 million. They also argue that we should let Amazon come to New York but provide no incentive. However, without the incentive, Amazon, which owes duties to its stockholders, including the New York pension plan, would not come to New York and would not bring their revenues or jobs. The essence of the Amazon competition was that they were shopping for the best economic benefits. Oh, that's what we call corporate welfare nowadays, just economic benefits. Code. Economic benefits means corporate welfare. Amazon could have located all employees in Virginia or gone to Newark, just across the river, for a larger incentive, a $7 billion incentive package and a giant revenue loss to New York. Again, he doesn't link to a single source throughout, so I'm not sure who is arguing that New York should let Amazon move there without incentive. But it is obvious that Amazon was not, quote, shopping for the best economic benefits, given that other cities that did not win this embarrassing contest were offering much larger benefits. Columbus even offered to create a task force to deal with its, quote, unacceptable murder rate. Oh, that's nice that they would have a task force for their murder rate. So we'll try to stop the murders if you come, Amazon. As if only Amazon employees deserve to live without fear or murder. Amazon never intended to move to Columbus or Atlanta. They held this joke of a competition to encourage the cities they wanted to move to, New York and D.C., to offset the cost of moving there with the biggest tax incentive they could squeeze out of them. The idea that New York had to offer billions in incentives to attract Amazon away from New Jersey, which was offering more than twice the money to move an hour away, is absurd. But of course, Cuomo can't respond to the genuine left critique that cities should not offer incentives like this at all. In fact, he dismisses this as unrealistic. Oh, unrealistic. You know who used to talk about unrealistic things? Hillary Clinton. Well, that's not pragmatic. And that's not unrealistic. So the very people that are basically making public policy and making policy decisions bent over for their donors and are servants to their donors and are servants to people like Jeff Bezos and the corporate welfare state, their answer, it's a beautiful facade. It's a beautiful cover is, well, that's not realistic. That's not realistic, you progressives. And now extreme conservatives, I don't even know what that means. You know, you progressives, you want all these unrealistic things like education and healthcare and, you know, roads that are paved and, clean water. Like, stop with these unrealistic demands already. Cuomo said, nothing in the Amazon transaction is new. The tax incentives we provided for single business transactions are usual and typical and have been operational for decades. They are long-standing programs supported by both Democrats and Republicans in both the city and the state. Nor are tax incentive programs unique to New York. Every state offers incentives to attract business, and we are in a constant competition with other states and nations to attract and keep good businesses. Oh, Andrew. Oh, Andrew. The fact that, so basically, Andrew Cuomo's argument is not that it's right or wrong, but this is just how business is done. This is just how business is done. The very states all around this country that say we don't have money for education, we don't have money for safety, we don't have money for food programs, we don't have money for, to get away from fracking and fossil fuels, we don't have money to pave the roads. We don't have money for the public good. They do have money to give incentives to corporations that come in. And these corporations that come in, they're not, public. They're not coming in on their chariots and gifting people, working people with jobs. They're not coming in on their chariots and fixing the schools. They're not coming in on their chariot and fixing the roads. You know what they're coming in on their chariots on doing? Let me know. Let me know. They're coming in on their chariots and forcing poor people out. Because when places like Amazon come in, you know what happens? The cost of living goes up in those communities. Because in many areas, low-income housing is torn down. And storefronts are torn down, and commercial businesses are torn down for a place like Amazon's headquarters. And around Amazon's headquarters, there's going to be new restaurants and new bars and new entertainment complexes and all this stuff that drives up the cost of living in those communities. It's called gentrification. So I'm not against Amazon coming to New York City. I'm not against Amazon I'm not against Amazon going to Virginia. I think there's other communities that it made more sense for them to go. But I don't want to hear from New York State, the New York governor, that we just don't have the money to fix the subway, which at this point, if you live in New York City and you're driving around the subway, at certain points, it's a human rights violation what's going on with this subway. This is the biggest city in the world, and the public transportation is that of a third world country because Andrew Cuomo wants to give tax breaks to Amazon to come. Thank you, G, and $1.99 in the super chat. Reminder, folks, this is a super chat, and we got the GoFundMe going. I hope you're feeling super. We haven't gotten much going on the GoFundMe today. Some days are better than others, but I appreciate all contributions, super chat and GoFundMe. Anthony, $4.99 in the super chat. But Jimmy Dore is the toxic one in the left, Jordan, not the tools in a corrupt party that tell us vote blue no matter who and vote Cuomo full stop. Anthony, I'm waiting for your YouTube channel because I couldn't say it better. I could not say it better. Oh, not to mention the helipad that we have to give Jeff Bezos. We have to build a helipad. So we can't build schools. Can't build schools. Can't fix the air conditioning or the heating in schools in Harlem or the Bronx. Can't do, expand nutritional programs. Thank you, Tay Derp, $2 for the super chat. Can't fix the roads. Can't do single payer. Can't do that. Can't do single payer in New York. Can't do single payer in Florida. Can't do it in California. Too expensive. But if Jeff Bezos wants a helipad, and if Amazon wants $1.5 billion in incentives to come here, and as they come here, instead of actually giving the proletariat jobs, because these jobs are not going to working people. Most of these jobs in these headquarters, they're hiring a lot of software engineers, I'm told, in reports, and other jobs. They're not going to you, the worker bee. And again, I'm not knocking people who get software jobs. It's good money. You have a skill. That's great. But, this idea that, the money just takes care of itself because the people that they hire come in and we get the tax revenue from those people. Yeah, that does happen. But you're also making it so people that live there now get forced out because it's too expensive. And this is not about whether we should be giving minor incentives to companies. It's about what are our politicians' priorities? Because you can't say we have no money and then give $1.5 billion to the richest man in the world and one of the richest companies in the world that does not need it. As Libby wrote in the piece I just read, they're basically, that money is to pay for their cost of moving. And by the way, go look in the history books. It's always, 25,000 jobs. It actually ended up being 15,000 jobs. And they weren't all full-time. Press the share button. Let's get this out to as many people as possible. We are being suppressed on YouTube, so it's unfortunate, but not everybody knows when we're live, including Ty, who just texted me, "Are you going live today?" So our cameraman, our photojournalist, he doesn't know when I'm live, and I've been live for an hour now. So that's how bad YouTube suppression is. It's a real thing. So this is why the progressive movement needs to fight. This is why the progressive movement cannot simply sit there with their heads in the sand and say, let's compromise with the corporate Democrats, because this is what corporate Democrats is. Andrew Cuomo is what the Democratic Party symbolizes. It's neoliberalism. It is politics for the 1%. It is economics for the wealthy. It is economics for the bankers, the oil companies, the pharmaceutical companies, Silicon Valley, and plutocrats that donate to their campaigns. That's all it is. It's not so complicated. And you know what? If the Democratic Party and the corporate Democratic establishments, if their game plan is when they are challenged and they are called out by the socialists like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to try and diminish them, I love that argument. Because then we actually get the term socialist out into the mainstream more, and then we actually get out, well, what are these socialists so angry about? What are these socialists Angry about? What are they complaining about? Oh, wait, they're complaining about that, like, a company, the wealthiest company in the world, shouldn't get a $2 billion tax credit? You know what? You know who probably agrees with that? Conservatives. You know who probably agrees with that? A lot of centrist Democrats. Can't make this stuff up. Before I move on to the next topic, I want to show you, I'm trying to show you a little bit more about the behind the scenes content that you get as a patron to Status Coup. So here is my latest behind the scenes video diary for Status Coup, only for patrons. So you can become a patron at patreon.com/status coup as low as $3 a month if you so choose. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I'm going to give you a little sneak peek, and then we're going to talk about something else. Hello folks, Jordan Sheridan, my video diary here on patreon.com/status coup. I cannot lie to you, I'm a little tired. We have been working pretty much 7 days a week. 7 days a week, probably 14, 15 hours a day, probably since March, and that accumulation starts to take a toll. So we've been working very, very hard behind the scenes to get funding for Status Coup. Obviously, we've been doing the GoFundMe. We've raised over $20,000 in 2 months, but unfortunately, that $20,000, I wish it could all go to in the field reporting, but that's not how businesses work. So we've had to use some of that money on equipment that we need. We've had to use some of that money on marketing and other kind of advertising things that we need. So we definitely need to raise more. So Jen and I, and Ty has also been helping in trying to figure out some creative ways to get funding without selling our soul to the devil, which is always better. So I've actually today, Saturday, been sending out emails to a bunch of different people, not just individuals, but different groups that we might be able to do some kind of partnership with and those kinds of things. So heard back from a few of them. I wish I could tell you everybody we're reaching out to and everything we're doing, but I don't want to put the cart before the horse, as they say. But we've definitely had some progress over the last few weeks. We've also had some setbacks, which is going to happen when you're doing a startup, and you know, this is a startup. So I already said a lot of this on camera, but we were about to publish a major story in Newsweek magazine on Flint, and then Newsweek at the very last minute. I shouldn't have been shocked. Fucked us. We were supposed to it was like a Wednesday. It was Wednesday. The story was supposed to go up on the website on a Thursday, and then in the magazine the following week. And obviously a major investigative story in Newsweek, even though Newsweek's corporate and not my cup of tea, it still would have been good as far as us taking that story and then reaching out to potential sponsors, reaching out to potential larger funders, and all that stuff. So we ended up self-publishing it, and boy, if you want the behind the scenes, it has been, man, it might have been easier for the Pilgrims to come over on the Mayflower than to get this story traction. Because if it's not Trump, if it's not Russia, if it's not scandal, sensational scandal, if it's just poor people still getting poisoned, boy, hard to get politicians or people to give a damn. So we've had 2 sitting congressmen call for criminal investigations into what we found. And if you haven't read the story yet, you should go check it out. It's at the top of my Twitter page. It's also on the Status Coup Medium page. And basically, Jen and I knocked on 450 doors in Flint starting this summer, extending all the way into like 2 weeks ago. And we found that the state of Michigan basically cooked up the data. They artificially lowered the lead levels to falsely declare Flint's lead levels were meeting EPA regulations. And they did that by essentially flushing residents' water lines right before taking the sample, which is against the EPA's main drinking water main drinking water regulation, the lead and copper rule. So we found that they did that in at least 35 homes. Might be more, but we didn't have the funding to stay out there. We were out there for 3 weeks between summer and fall in total. So we've been sending it to every politician. Jen has been sending it to every celebrity. I've been sending it to athletes that might be interested. And, you know, Jen and I, we go back and forth. We won't actually reveal our text message exchange because it would either make you cry, laugh, or worry about both of us. But we both go back and forth basically saying, ugh, everybody's fucking terrible. Everybody's terrible. I can't tell you how many people have told me that they were going to cover this, that they were going to share this, that they were going to do a lot of things, and then they end up not. And I'm not frustrated about it for me. I'm frustrated about it for the people of Flint because this is a major environmental scandal that we broke. But also, we have to look at it as a new media company, as a learning experience, you know? Jen and I, for at least 3 or 4 months, were trying to get this story published and picked up by a larger corporate media outlet. And although, in theory, that was a good idea, obviously, we didn't even have a website ready. So we were hoping to get the story published in a larger corporate outlet, which could give it, you know, some gravitas and get picked up by other places and become a big national thing. Ooh, I need a haircut. But, you know, we wasted a lot of time doing that, and there's no way to learn other than trial and error. Because when you're at the mercy of corporate media outlets, you're at the mercy of really, really dumb editors and executives. You're at the mercy of spineless editors and executives who are afraid to publish a story because they're afraid of getting sued. You're at the mercy of spineless, lazy, and pretty narrow-minded editors who most of their first responses to me were, is there a way to connect this to Trump? And when I would tell them, actually, the illegal flushing that went on, we found this dating back to 2016 when President Obama was still president. All the way up to this year, but it's not really a Trump thing. It's a state of Michigan corrupt governor who should be in jail, Rick Snyder thing. But, you know, a lot of media outlets did not want to touch it if we couldn't connect it to Trump, and I wasn't going to bastardize the story to, you know, make it about Trump, because it's really not about Trump. It's about... So, that's part of my video diary. I think there's about like 5 or 6 minutes more. I might have twerked. There might be some twerking involved. So, yeah, I'm just playing you little sneak peeks of things that the Status Quo patrons get. If you want to become a Patreon subscriber, it's patreon.com/Status Quo. You could do it at $3 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month, and higher. You get a lot of different goodies depending on the level you subscribe at. And this is obviously, as we've been talking, part of our business model to get recurring monthly patrons, and pretty soon we're going to have a membership section on our website. So, and I unfortunately have to do this live, so the screen is about to go black. Give me a minute. Time promo. I walk slow, take my hand. Unfortunately, I've been getting stuff a little too late, like during the live streams. Here we go. So now we have a beautiful, beautiful full screen graphic for you. Real talk with Ty. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific. Be there, right here, youtube.com/Status Quo. youtube.com/Status Quo. So Ty will be live tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, and then again Friday and Monday. Right now we're doing 3 days a week because he has, you know, editing and other things he's doing for us. But I like that real talk with Ty. That's the right name. So definitely tune in tomorrow. Share the video. Get it out. It's doubtful that YouTube will send you a notification when he's live. So let's make it happen. Let's show him the love. Obviously, that will be a super chat there too. So we are looking for support. at 5 p.m., at 2 p.m., at all times of the day, if we can get it. So, here's the bottom line. Oh, and my favorite troll, Jerry, just got into the game here. So Jerry's here. Here's my thing. I'm going to be the first one to applaud Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez when she does something good. And I'm going to come out when I disagree with what she's doing. So, although Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, am I saying Ocasio-Cortez correctly? Because someone told me I wasn't saying it correctly. Is it Ocasio or Ocasio? Let me know, Jen. You know, I don't think she needs to come into Congress and like with a torch and say, I'm burning down the village. But I do like, and I covered this on the live stream marathon on Sunday, which, by the way, we got another one. Coming up. Sunday Super Chat Marathon. Super Chat Sunday. Join us live at noon Eastern this coming Sunday. YouTube.com/statuscoup. You could thank Jen for that artistic display in front of you. 12 o'clock, noon Eastern, 9 o'clock Pacific time. I'm going live Sunday. First time I went live was 7.5 hours. Second time was 4 hours. Last time was 6 hours. I think maybe we're gonna go for the record this time. Tay Derp says, Jordan, I could donate pistachios to you. I don't like pistachios, but if you have peanuts, sure, donate that. So, Ocasio-Cortez, I like, and I applauded her that she's coming in. She's calling on progressives to primary corporate Democrats. She is calling for, I think we're a little past a select committee, but at least she's calling for aggressive action on climate change because the country is burning. So we on one end, she's doing the right thing, but now it appears she hasn't said definitively that she's going to vote for Pelosi as Speaker, but she's dropping some breadcrumbs that makes you think she's going to. Representative-elect Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez could soon be on Team Pelosi. The liberal freshman firebrand made a splash during her first day of orientation by joining a protest outside of House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi's office to demand action on climate change. But over the weekend, Ocasio-Cortez told her nearly 800,000 Instagram followers she will likely back the California Democrat, calling her the most progressive of the possible candidates for Speaker. A formal endorsement from Ocasio-Cortez would be a boon for Pelosi, as she seeks to return to the Speaker's office and create the perception that the longtime Democratic leader is building momentum for her bid. While Pelosi's camp says it was never worried about winning over the fellow liberal, Ocasio-Cortez's support would inject excitement into Pelosi's candidacy and counter critics who say the 31-year veteran lawmaker has been around too long and represents stale ideas. Ocasio-Cortez, 29, will be the youngest woman to serve in Congress when she's sworn in next year. She's a rock star of the left, and her primary win over veteran Congressman Joseph Crowley, once seen as a natural successor to Pelosi, makes her seem like an agent of change in a caucus dominated by elder statesmen. Speaking with supporters on her Instagram feed, Ocasio-Cortez pointed out that the group of anti-Pelosi insurgents are mostly centrists who worry that handing back power to the San Francisco liberal would harm newly elected centrists who helped deliver Democrats the House majority this month. Quote, right now, out of the field, I would say that Pelosi is the most progressive candidate. All of the rebellion for the speakership are challengers to her right. And so I think it's important to communicate that, said Ocasio-Cortez, who boasts more than 1 million Twitter followers and has been documenting her freshman orientation on Instagram. My standard in this is I'm going to support the most progressive candidates that's leading the party, and right now that is Nancy Pelosi in terms of the running. I would like to see new, younger leadership, but I don't want new leadership that is more conservative. Ocasio-Cortez argued, we need to transform our leadership, but they shouldn't reject Pelosi just for the sake of doing it. So, on one end, I think she has a point because of the candidates that are running. I don't think it's fair to say that they are more conservative than Pelosi, because from what I could see, Pelosi's pretty conservative. I don't know. I don't know what policy handbook Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is looking at as far as Nancy Pelosi being the most progressive. I would say instead the contenders for the speakership are about the same as Pelosi, as far as the money they take from special interests. You know, you can't on one end, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, you can't on one end say money in politics is a toxic problem in this country, and we need to create a corporate-free PAC, and we need to elect only politicians that refuse to take PAC money and corporate money from big special interests, while in the other breath saying Nancy Pelosi is the most progressive candidate. Two things can't be true. So, of the people that are being rumored to run for Speaker against Nancy Pelosi, I would say, from the few that I looked at, they're about the same as her. They take money from the same usual suspects. They take money from the banks, big oil, big pharma, Silicon Valley, real estate. I mean, the list goes on and on. So, dare I say, maybe Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez should be publicly calling for somebody like Barbara Lee to run for Speaker. Or somebody more progressive to run against Nancy Pelosi. I think what she's saying, I understand she doesn't want to burn down the village because she's going to have to work with Pelosi. But at the same time, saying that the people that are running are more conservative than Pelosi, well, what do you think Pelosi is? Do you think being anti-Medicare for all, anti-public option is the more progressive position? Do you think being for fracked gas pipelines is a progressive position? Because Nancy Pelosi hasn't come out against fracked gas pipelines. Yes, Barbara Lee said she doesn't want to run for Speaker of the House. That doesn't mean Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez shouldn't have publicly pushed her. Obviously, she can't she's not God. But Ocasio-Cortez could have come out and says, I don't like any of the options right now. She is giving a subtle endorsement and kind of insinuating that in some ways Nancy Pelosi is progressive when the record does not match that. She could say, I don't like any of the other candidates either. But to say that they're to the right of Nancy Pelosi, well, I don't know what political line she's looking at. Nancy Pelosi is not more progressive than these other candidates. They're all the same. They're all centrists. They're all business-friendly Democrats. They're all neocon, war-loving Democrats. Or as Nancy Pelosi says, we're all capitalists. We're all capitalists here at our capitalist, oligarchic, plutocratic slumber party. So, hey, I'll give her credit when she deserves credit, and I'll give her blame when she doesn't. I don't think she should have been endorsing Andrew Cuomo for governor, and I don't think she should be endorsing Nancy Pelosi. She also could decide to just vote present or not vote yes or no. You're allowed to do that in Congress. So I would rather hear from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez that has all this energy, all this momentum, this excited grassroots army behind her, not on a Monday, we need to primary corporate Democrats and we need to create a we need to create a PAC that doesn't take corporate money. And we need to we need to start pushing out politicians that take this money from special interests. You can't say that on Monday and then say Nancy Pelosi is the most progressive candidate for Speaker of the House. No, they're all bought off corporate Democrats. Nancy Pelosi and I believe the 6 or 7 others being talked about. Sorry. That's the truth. So I don't think she's doing a I think she's doing a disservice to the term progressive by insinuating that Nancy Pelosi is more progressive than those others. Find me the policies that Nancy Pelosi is so much more progressive on than Tim Ryan, Seth Moulton, and these other people being talked about. They don't exist. And if they do, I'd gladly come on here and say it. She's not for bank deregulation. She's not for significant bank regulation. She's not for banning fracking. She's not for ending private prisons. She's not for Medicare for all. She's not for free public college tuition. I could go on. Brian says, we're capitalists. Nancy Pelosi. And to the folks in the chat, don't worry about the trolls. If you have more trolls coming to a channel, that's a good thing. That means you're succeeding. Just let them scream into the void. That's why they exist. And hey, Nancy Pelosi was the first female speaker. That was history. We don't take that away from her. But, you know, she is part of the problem. She is part of the reason we don't have Medicare for all, because she could have made that happen with Barack Obama as president. She was the speaker for Barack Obama's first 2 years. She could have made that happen with a democratically controlled White House, Senate, and Congress with supermajorities. Kimberly says term limits. I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. I am all for term limits, and I don't think it's discussed enough. On Facebook, Maru says, boycott Amazon whenever possible. I have been for years now. Paul says, progressives support a non-corrupt capitalism. Yep. I support socialism, but I take at this point, I would take a non-corrupt capitalism, but I don't really think that exists. Paul's, oh, no one can maintain corrupt capitalism. Yep. Tommy Tahifi Payless just joined us. I was just calling you a jerk for constantly texting me while I'm live because you don't get notifications, and maybe you could just put in your calendar that I go live, Tommy, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern. But Tommy, since you're here, are you going to tune into this tomorrow? Give it to me, baby. Real talk. That real talk. With Tommy. Are you going to be wearing your airport neck pillow while you report live at 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow? The people need to know. It's a good looking photo, and that's a good looking title. And it's actually on youtube.com/statusquo. It won't be on statusquo.com tomorrow, but either way, it's on YouTube, 2 o'clock, be here. Tell your friends, tell the mailman, this man is bringing the truth. If you heard him on the Sunday Marathon live chat, which, by the way, we're doing again this Sunday, 12 o'clock Eastern, be there or be square. A lot of promos. This man's bringing the heat. And you know what, Ty? I'm actually going to save this topic for you tomorrow, if you want to do it. I was going to do something on Botham John today, but I think you have a little bit more knowledge than I do on the topic. He's going to say, oh, because I'm black, you want me to do the topic? That's not why. But I'm already an hour and a half into this. I kind of have to pee. I went a little long on the Trump topic earlier, so I'm going to send this to you to do tomorrow. But let's just say as a tease, the new Dallas district attorney in an interview, finally we have somebody in the criminal justice system who understands what murder is and does not think cops should be immune to murder charges. So if Ty wants to talk about that tomorrow, he can. But I just kind of left it where, like, if he wants to talk about it, he can, but, like, he should talk about it. You know? All right, folks. Thank you for watching, as always. Thank you for the super chat. Definitely, if you're feeling thankful for this kind of reporting on this Thanksgiving, please consider a GoFundMe contribution. Some days or some weeks are fast. Some weeks it grows quicker than others. This week's been kind of slow. As you can see, we're 4 away from 350 donors. We're getting closer to $22,000 in the GoFundMe. So every dollar counts, even if it's $5, $10. Every dollar counts. And you already know, you donate 100, you get a shirt or a hat. You donate 127, you get both. Thank you to everyone who's been contributing. Thank you to everyone who's watched today. I will be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, and definitely check out Ty tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern time.